Hello everyone! I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And in this one, I wanted to speak to you about going on the path even if people are judging you for it. And I recently did a video about this as well, but I wanted to kind of go on a little bit further because of an example or something that happened to me recently. So let's go over the story first. So I've been trying to go back on Tinder and go back into the dating scene because I think that I'm kind of ignoring that part of my life because it's so much easier for me to just focus on work. It's so much easier for me to just be like, well, yeah, I'm happy single and I don't want to be in a relationship. So let me just ignore that aspect of my life. But I do know, and I have realized that being in a relationship is extremely transformative for the soul, for the psyche, for the mind, body, spirit, everything. It really teaches you a lot about yourself because it's a direct mirror. It's a reflection of all of your flaws and your shadows, right? And so if I really want to grow and expand as a human being, I do believe that I need to try being in a relationship more than I do right now. So of course I go on Tinder and it's difficult, it's annoying, but I think of it as a practice. And so I'll do 10 minutes of Tindering every single day just as a thing to build my muscle. And of course, the problem being that my main thing with sexuality and with sexual relationships is that I don't do one night stands anymore. I used to do a lot of them before, 5 years ago. But ever since then, I decided I'm not going to do one night stands anymore, and so I don't. And of course, a lot of what happens on these platforms is that some of them are only there for hookups. They're only there so they can kind of have one night stands with a bunch of people while they're traveling through a city or while they're on vacation, and then they move on. And so the problem for me arises when I actually have clearly said in my profile, I don't do one night stands. If you're looking for a hookup, don't message me. Maybe people don't read that stuff. Maybe they don't. Maybe they ignore it. Either way, I do get a lot of messages from men who are like, I'm only here for a week. How about we do, meet up and see how things go and maybe be a little bit intimate with each other and things like that. And of course, I always tell them, my spiritual practice and my principles do not allow that. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not saying anything against them or their principles. It's just my own practice and my own thoughts about it that don't allow it. That maybe if the person was extremely interesting or I was extremely in lust with him, but it hasn't happened in 5 years and I don't know if it's going to happen in the future, I just don't see it happening with the people that I meet on Tinder for 2 seconds. And so of course a lot of times they'll be like, they try to play it down as, well, you only live once. And I'm like, yeah, well, no, you don't only live once. I believe in reincarnation, so this is just one life of many, so I'm not really worried about that. And then the other argument they use is, well, I'm not judging you. No judgment. It's fine. Do what you want. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to tell on you. And it's kind of really interesting to me because, of course, the perspective for them is that, oh, she's ashamed because she's worried what other people are going to think of her. Whereas for me, in my head, I'm thinking people can think whatever they want of me because their opinion of me is going to be always wrong because they have no idea who I really am about. The real thing I'm worried about is my own opinion of myself. And I look at myself and think, oh, right, so your principles are not that strong. You make a principle, and then the minute a man comes along and says, oh yeah, let's go and have some sexy times in the bedroom, then you're like, yeah, let me do it. Let me throw my clothes off and do it, kind of thing, right? And so I just shove my principles off to the side as soon as something fun comes along. So how can I look myself in the eye if I'm that kind of person? So that's what I'm really concerned about. It's not if a random stranger off the street, off Tinder, judges me or doesn't judge me. It doesn't really matter to me because I will never see him again. He'll never see me again. But I myself will see myself every single moment for the rest of my life, and I will remember that this is what I did. I compromised on my principles, which I believe were really important to me, but were not obviously very important. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot because a lot of times people will come to me and say, but what if that person thinks this and that about you? And but what if they judge you, or what if like blah blah blah? And I always think to myself, what kind of a life am I leading if all of these random opinions of random people that I see once a year, once every 2 years, becomes more important than what my own opinion of myself and my priorities in my life is? What kind of a life am I leading, and what kind of a person have I become if everyone else can look at me without shame, but I myself cannot look at myself without shame? I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, this is not the person I wanted to become. This is not the person that I wanted to be. This is not the person I wanted to grow up to be. This is not the person who I want to be, because I cannot even look myself in the eye without feeling ashamed of the way I'm doing things, without feeling ashamed of how I just compromise on my principles at a drop of a hat, right? Now, of course, I'm not doing that at a drop of a hat, but what happens is that, it grates on you. Society grates on you, and it kind of like little by little, like Chinese water torture, little by little, drops and drops and drops, like drip, 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 drip over time. And over time, after thousands of those drips, you're like, all right, fine, I just give up. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just gonna listen to society, or I'm just gonna give up and just go along with whatever's going on, because I'm too tired to fight the forces anymore. I'm just too tired to go against what society has laid down for me, right? And I think this happened to me a lot when I was younger as well, because I had principles when I was younger as well, of course, right? But maybe I wasn't strong enough in them, or maybe I just wasn't strong enough in my principles, because I did notice when I was younger, someone would come along and say, well, no, you don't have to do things that way. Why are you doing it that way? Just, just live a little, just chill out, It's fine if you just don't do it once a day or whatever, 1 week, one time. It's not going to be such a big deal. And a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, you're right. What's a big deal? Why am I being so rigid about this? Let me just give up on the whole situation. Or let me just skip this one single day. One day is not going to make such a big difference. And then one day goes by and I skip one day, and then before I know it, I've skipped 7 days or a month. And my whole system of principles has fallen and collapsed onto the ground, and it's a complete mess. So I think that's what right now I'm not afraid of, but I am cognizant of, is that it's very easy to let society grate on you, to like drip, 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 drip over time, and to be like, all right, fine, I give up, right? And this is what happens with a lot of people who get married, even though they don't want to get married, who go to university, even though they think it's the wrong thing to do for them, who have children, even though they think that they'd be terrible parents and they shouldn't be parents at all. It's because society grates on you in the form of parents, in the form of messaging, subliminal and direct, from society and advertising and the media, from partners, from friends, from colleagues, from books and magazines that you read, from everywhere. It's constantly grating on you and constantly telling you, your path is wrong. Don't choose that path. Choose our path. And at first you'll be like, no, my path is right. I'm good. Don't worry about me. Go away. And then the 10th time you're like, no, my path is right. Go away. The 10,000th time they come along, you're like, all right, fine, I give up, man. Okay, cool, I'll have children. Come on, just go away. And so, it is hard. It is very difficult to stand tall, even though the Chinese water torture is going on, dripping away at you, right? But that's what I don't want to do, is because I know that those people will be really happy. Oh, good, she's agreed with us, awesome. And then they go away. They don't even think about it twice. But for me, as I said, I have to look at myself in the eye for the rest of my life and realize that I had this one principle, or two principles, or whatever it might be, and I compromised on it because I was just too tired to go against society anymore. And that's, again, something that I cannot stand. I will not stand. I refuse to stand this in myself, because I know how easy it can be to give up and how difficult it is to make the stand, right, for the rest of your life. You have to keep on fighting for the rest of it. I'm 37 right now, and I'm still fighting with people around me because I don't want to get married or have children, Still, I get messages from people or comments from family or friends or people around me saying, but you can still get married. There are lots of divorced men out there who in their 40s, they'd love to have a wife like you. And I think to myself, have I not made myself clear? I don't want to get married not because there aren't enough men around, but because I don't want to get married. Or like the whole thing about children. Well, my mom is always telling me, you can freeze your eggs, right? And I'm like, yes, I know that. But it's so funny because like eventually I can imagine like after the 10,000th time of being told the same thing, people can be like, all right, yes, fine, I'll do it. Just stop talking to me. Just leave me alone. So I can imagine you can be like, well, yeah, I'll just go along with the crowd because I'm sick and tired of saying no to them. But remember that they will be gone and not even thinking about you, and they won't even care if you do what they ask you to do or not. Really, they don't care. Maybe your parents do, but not even that much. But you do. You're going to look at yourself for the rest of your life. Your heart is going to look at you. Your soul is going to look at you. Your eyes are going to look at you. Your psyche is going to look at you. And all of that is going to say the same thing. You failed on that principle. You compromised on that principle when you didn't need to. When you could have taken another stand, and another stand, and another stand. And maybe you'll be taking stands for the rest of your life. It feels like that for me. But it's okay. Because it means that I can still look at myself in the eye and say, yeah, I'm not compromising on my principle. No, I'm not just going to go to bed with you and do a one-night stand because you tell me that you're not going to judge me or you're going to judge me or whatever. No, I've said what my principle is. This is what it is. I don't do one-night stands, so leave me alone. Go find someone else, right? And it's funny because as soon as I said that to the person, he unmatched me and left. And that literally clearly shows me the kind of person that he is, right? Which is thankfully that way it worked out because I would really not want to be around that person anyways. So it's good that he showed me his true colors right away. But that's what it is. You might be compromising your principles if you end up doing that for people who don't even matter that much, who won't even care that much, who are not even at the level that you want to be at. Me compromising my principles for a random guy off the street seems so futile and so useless that I can't even imagine me doing something like that. And even if it was someone important, like me compromising my principles for my parents, it still seems completely futile and useless, right? So I hope this makes sense. I hope I was able to explain myself to you. If you have any questions, obviously comment below and I shall do a follow-up video. And if you have any questions at all about any videos that I've done, comment below and I shall do a follow-up video. Again, thank you so much for watching, for being on my channel. I appreciate it, and I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.